Welcome to the Functional Health Coaching Show, where we are here to support and answer your questions so that you can help people on a deeper level get real results and grow your health coaching business. Do you have questions you want to ask live on the show? You can call in every Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1-347-637-1378. Are you looking to increase your credibility and grow your health coaching business using functional lab testing and data-driven protocols so that you can confidently solve health issues? Well, we have the course for you. Go to fdn.today/show to learn more and sign up today. Okay, let's join today's episode.
Happy Friday, guys. You've tuned in again to the FDN Fantastic Friday Call, the Functional Health Coaching Show. Got a little bit of a new name to the show, but still the same things, right? So we're helping you be the best FDN practitioner that you possibly can be. So, or helping move through the course in order to be certified to be one, to do the amazing work that we get to do. I'm your host, Brandon Mollet, FDN practitioner for going on 10 years now. So love what I get to do every single day and talk with you guys, support you guys, work with my own clients, helping people change their health and their future. And life is good. So hopefully you guys have had a good week. If not, hopefully that changes, or at the very least, maybe you learned something, and we always want to fail forward, right? So February 28th, 2020 is the date for today. So again, thanks for tuning in with me. We do this call pretty much every week, and it's a live call, 1 o'clock Central Time on Fridays. Number to call in if you want to ask a question, and we love questions. I've got several written in here that we'll go over today. Reed may be on here for an update as well, so hang on for that. But if you want to call in right now, and maybe you're listening on Blog Talk, or if you are, I see a lot of you guys, hello on the switchboard there, call in and ask a question, make a comment. Love to hear from you. We love the live interaction. Number to do that is 347-637-1378. Again, 347-637-1378, and then just hit 1 on your keypad when you dial in, or if you're already on the line right now, just hit 1, and I'll know you're there, and we'll bring you on. We'll talk for a little bit. So may have, if we don't have too many hands raised, maybe you can have a couple questions. We're happy to answer those. So again, this call is help support you with wherever you are in the process. If you're still a trainee moving through the course, questions about people, whatever it happens to be for you, wherever you're at in the process, we want to help speed that along and keep you moving in a good direction, feeling confident about what you're doing. If you're a practitioner out there, you have a question about anything, something that's current, case management questions, something to do with our dress protocol, happy to give some advice that way too, as much as we can, knowing what we know. Or if you're looking at taking this course, you've been looking at it for a week or 5 years. I hear that sometimes too. Oh, yeah, I've been following you guys for years and listened to read on podcasts, and you guys are at a show as that, and I'm looking at this course for a while. If you're in that position right there, hopefully these calls give you a feel for what we're about. Definitely. So whoever you are, whatever situation it is, you guys are welcome to call in and ask questions there, or write in questions for later on. All right, so again, February 28th, 2020, I think a big weekend here. NTA conference is this weekend in Portland. I believe we've got a booth there, and a lot of FDNs there representing. I think Jen's up that way, I believe. Just talked to Debbie Potts on the phone earlier today, and she was there. We were going over a medical director case there over the phone, and she was about to go back into the conference here this weekend. So big stuff going on. FDNs all over the place. Want people to know that we exist, that you have options, and that you have a course you can take and become more adept and given some additional tools to make a big difference and improve the lives of your clients. So big weekend there, and also just keep in mind our own conference, the FDN conference, October 23rd to the 25th in San Diego. We're going to be there again this year. Our third conference was an awesome time last year, just coming together as a bunch of FDN practitioners, several hundred in one location, learning and networking and connecting and talking and sharing ideas and encouraging each other. It's an amazing weekend. There's nothing even close to that. I really have to say we've done a good job with our community, with afdnp, with Facebook page, with videos and Zoom calls. A lot of you guys are on, even this Friday call here. It's cool. You get an energy, but not like you get at the FDN conference. So check out the details of that FDNconference.com is the website. We'll be making announcements as more and more speakers are solidified. We have several already, but as we finalize that lineup of speakers, and the Amazing Weekend, just put it on your calendar as something you just do every, once a year. It needs to be part of it. If you're going to be doing this professionally and doing it seriously, or you just want to check out and see what we're about, it's a great way to do that again. And hey, it's San Diego, right? So wonderful weather, good people, sort of FDN headquarters in some way, not officially, but a lot of folks are in that area. So keep that in mind. We'll keep reminding you guys of that every week so you can make plans to do that. If Reed comes on, like I said, we might have a little course update. We have been doing videos on Facebook, trying to post those to all the different groups. Make sure you guys know any changes upcoming with the course, how it affects you. And things are looking good. So things are being more and more solidified. There's still some work to do on both people's parts, right? So we're going to do all that we possibly can do to make transitions go well, but also might require a little bit of new learning. But hey, I know you guys out there, we like to learn, we like to study. So in this case, some of the BioHealth labs all the BioHealth labs have gone away. So we've got some replacements and things we'll use, and it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to the future of FDN. So moving forward and looking really strong. Again, Reed might be on for some updates on that. Let's see. What else is there? Well, I've got some graduates who want to read off, that's for sure. We always like to congratulate folks that have made it through. Some of you guys make it through the course in 3 months, and it's like Zoom, just really focused, and that's to be acknowledged. And then also, sometimes life gets in the way. Stuff happens, right? And so you don't go maybe as fast and keep to the timetable that you really want to. Those people need to be committed also for pushing through some of those things and completing that, because once you get that verbal final, we have a really good time, and there was always some good emotion that comes with that session there, and I'm proud to get to do that. That Reed's entrusted me with that job of the last sort of step you got to get through, other than the postgraduate interview with Reed. He likes to talk to every graduate, so you have that call with him too, personal call with him. But the last verbal there, bringing everything all together, making sure that you know it, and always had some really good showings and some pretty awesome folks. So we want to acknowledge those people today. So I have 4 this week, and I think they're all west of the Mississippi, as we might say in Kentucky here. We've got 4 graduates, and we're split here, a couple guys and a couple girls. So great. I've got Matt Terry from Kansas, I think friends and buddies with Brendan, co-host, in Kansas there. And then Dustin McFarland, he's a little bit further there in Colorado. And then also Tiffany Smith from California. Job. Very good. So keep them coming, guys. We look forward to you guys every week reading off graduates' names, and tremendous stuff. So, all right. Let's see here. We'll check here. Here's an 858. Is this somebody I need to talk to or acknowledge? 858. Reed, is that you? All right. I'm not getting that. So Reed will bring himself on if it is him. So, all right. So I do have a hand raise already to begin with. So I think we'll start with some questions to begin with. So we'll take a caller first. And like I said, you guys want to call in with questions, 347-637-1378. We've got 50 or so minutes to talk, and we definitely can fill it. So, all right, 303. Got you there, 303. Hey. What's your name?
Hey, Brandon. It's Chris Wilson from Fort Worth, Texas.
A little bit crackly there. Is that Walter, you said?
Chris from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, Chris. Hey, Chris. Yeah, hey. I'm having trouble hearing you. Why don't you call back in here, and I'll grab you again.
Okay, sounds good.
See if you get a better connection. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I can barely hear you, Chris. Okay. All right, we'll come back to you, so call back in, and I'll grab you. So I'll jump onto a question here while she does like black coffee. So a couple cool things here. Well, Chris is back. I'm going to grab Chris. Sorry, guys. All right. Chris, are you there now?
I'm here. Is that any better?
Not much better, but I think I can translate if they can't hear your question. So go ahead and ask your question. I'll go from there.
All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is. So I have a client that I've been working with, and I just wanted to talk to you about his blood work. And I have taken the advanced blood chem course and the advanced thyroid course. And his blood work here shows his thyroid panel that he has. And I ran a Dutch test for this gentleman. I've also done a GI map, and we discovered H. pylori and amongst some one virulence factor and some dysbiosis. I just wanted to help in the terms of, so Hashimoto's, it looks like when I correlated with his blood test and his thyroid panel, along with his main complaints, it was through his blood work pointing to getting the GI map ran and looking for H. pylori just based on the patterns I was seeing. And that too with the low melatonin and the spike in cortisol at night on his Dutch test. I wanted to talk to you about the thyroid panel in terms of Hashimoto's possibly, because it looks like as if he has primary hypothyroidism. And I know like 95% of hypothyroidism cases are caused by Hashimoto's. And I know it's more prevalent in women versus men. This is a 42-year-old male, type A personality, CEO. So his TSH is 3.5, which is high. His free T4 is pretty low at 2.6. His reverse T3 is really high at 14.4. Or I'm sorry, his free T4 is 0.98, I believe, if I'm reading this correct. And then his TPO antibody is 19, which is really high. So I just wanted to talk about, because this client has come a long way with transforming his life with working with other functional medicine doctors. He got all of his dental work taken care of over, I think, 6 years ago. He actually did IV chelation therapy to help with mercury toxicity, and I know that can be harsh on the body. But my specific question is, and I hope you can hear me, is on his thyroid and connecting this with lipopolysaccharides from all the gram-negative bacteria he has, because he never really has heard the philosophy that I'm trying to explain to him, that a lot of his underlying issues could be all gut-related. He still thinks in his mind that it's a lot driven by mercury toxicity and heavy metals, which I'm not disagreeing with him. It is an interconnected system. And I'm trying to help him understand that once we take a lot of the burden away from the poor gut health that's being overrun by H. pylori, it's got the OIP-A virulence factor flagged high. And then he's got the strep and the staph, low Sig-A, amongst other issues. No parasites or anything. But, you know, when you correlate this along with the Dutch test, I'm just trying to understand for the overall bigger picture, the 60,000-foot view in his case, with maybe helping him, because it really correlates with his thyroid issues, but I'm not wanting to do anything specifically, obviously. It's going through our address program. But, and I feel like I do a good job conveying him with the confidence that I have to help him with this. It's his own personal uncertainty, which is okay. He's trusting my instincts, and he has thus far. But can you help me understand the thyroid, with the TPO being a 19, the TSH at being 3.5, the free T4 being very low, the reverse T3 being very high? And I clinically correlated this with him, and it clicked and made a lot of sense. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, once we eradicate the pathogen in the gut, what this will reflect on his thyroid, if there would be any type of reflection at all. And I'm going to mute myself now, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. I'll mute you as well. Okay, good. All right, hope you guys heard that question there. I got several thoughts about that. Let me, I think it's Reed there. Reed, is that you?
Yeah, I just logged on. I was on a call. Sorry about that.
Okay, I got you. No problem. I'm just about to answer Chris's question here. So I will repeat it for you, Reed, and for the sake of everybody else, if Chris was kind of choppy sounding there with this phone call. So client he's working with, and it sounds like has a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, thyroiditis. He's looked at thyroid panel, blood panel, ran a Dutch test, a GI map. There's H. pylori showing up on the GI map. There's some low melatonin, a spike in cortisol there at nighttime. Numbers were running suboptimal thyroid numbers, just as a general consensus there. Guy's done a lot of work already with some dental work, and he thinks there's a lot of metal stuff that's still at play here with the situation. So I think Chris is looking for what maybe we can expect if we address some of these things. Where are things going to go? What are some of the connections that we're seeing? So sounds like we've done a good investigation, so awesome job. And I think overall, I'll say this as a start, 2 big points. First one is, and Chris, you know this, I'll just say it for the benefit of everybody else, we don't treat anything specifically, right? Hashimoto's, any kind of name, we do a general approach. And the benefit of that is, first of all, it's more effective. Second of all, it takes the pressure off of you. Exactly how this is going to know exactly which path the body is going to take is really even necessary. I would say it's necessarily not, because you're going to be doing some course correction, keeping up with that client as you're talking with them. So that's one thing. And the second part of it is he doesn't always have to have 100% faith in the system as long as the person's compliant and does what you say. So, yes, we want to have a good agreement philosophically that we agree, that we think this is going to help, and that always helps with compliance. If you believe in what you're doing, you think it's going to help you, then, yes, the person's going to stay a little more compliant there. So 2 big overarching points, I would say there. And on the other side of things here, I would wonder, you've got a thyroid panel here right now. Did he have anything previous? So is this a situation where the thyroid numbers are improving? And so maybe the antibodies that you feel like are high, or the TSH at 3.5, what was that 6 months ago or a year ago, because he's done a lot of work. So this could be trending in a positive direction, and you're just sort of helping to finish the job in a way and doing the things that he hasn't worked on, because if he hasn't worked on some of these other areas, pretty good chance he's going to be feeling a lot better through this process. And then I guess the connection here between the gut and the thyroid, definitely a lot of science is going to back that up. He may have to, if he needs some articles, maybe you can find some articles to give him so he can just satisfy his knowledge and desire to see the connections here. That'd be one thing I would consider doing in this case. But again, I think just trust the system, because the big goal of FDN is to remove as many stressors as you possibly can that you can identify. Give the body the tools that it needs to heal or to restore function. Those blocking factors, remove blocking factors, give the body the tools it needs to function better, and just sort of see what happens, see what works out. I don't worry too much about what a person comes to me with, right? Whatever kind of complaints and symptoms, things like that, and all those are on the surface. I'm going to trust that through this investigative process, things are going to improve. Function is going to improve, because that's what we're looking at, is addressing function and balance in the body. Once you do that, exactly how that changes, it's going to be different for each person. Maybe a simple way to think about that is a plant analogy. So a plant in the garden doesn't look very good, doesn't look very healthy, right? So on the top, maybe the leaves are kind of brown or yellow, not looking very good. You can go and you can get some green paint. You can paint those leaves, make them look a little bit better. That's maybe like medication in a way, right? Or maybe even some natural supplementation that you're going to do to make a person feel better. Maybe even some thyroid support could be considered that. Some tyrosine and some cholecystolate and some different things like that, maybe some glandulars, that can help. But it's this underlying root causes that you want to look for. So I want to really, as an FDN practitioner, we're looking at the soil quality, right? The microbes in the soil, the nutrients in the soil, the water in the soil, the quality of the root system, all of those things. So all we can do as a farmer or as a person that's working in their garden is do the best we very much can to clean up the soil, make it healthy as possible, give the plant the best chance it can to do what it's trying to do, and that's to live. So I think part of it is, the science is good, and you want to have that to back up to help you feel good about things, but also just trusting the system that's been developed over, I guess, Reed, probably 25 years at this point. I've been using for 10, that things are going to just work good. So part of it's a little bit of a step of faith to belief in what we do. There are multiple aspects and facets to your question there, Chris. Hopefully I answered most of those throughout that, but I will pause here. Reed, if you're still there, I don't know if I've lost you or you're still there. I might let you chime in on this one too, if you would.
Yeah, well, thanks. And good answer there, Brandon. And thanks for the question, Chris. I came in just as you were repeating the question because I had another call. But and then I dropped off and came back on because the reception was terrible. I had a terrible connection. I hope no one else is experiencing that because it was kind of aggravating. But here's the question to ask. Do you believe that if your client just gets healthier on a cellular, tissue, organ, system level, will that help them and will help them to the degree that they don't need medical attention anymore? Because that's kind of about our only goal. So do you believe if they get healthier on the cells, tissues, organs, and systems, basically we work on the entire organism, do you believe that will be helpful and make it so that they don't have to see a doctor anymore, or they have to see them a minimal amount? And if you can say yes, then you have a chance with FDN, because ours is the only system I know of that's as thorough, with the lab work, looking at hormones, the immune system, digestion, detoxification. Those are the pillars. If you can just improve those, their cells, organs, tissues, and systems will work better, contributing to greater health. And then whatever that thing is that you look at as the problem, like thyroiditis, that's really not the problem or not the only problem. It's certainly not a problem that we're licensed or qualified to deal with directly. So we have to have an indirect approach. And it actually outperforms the direct approach. And that's what Brandon was alluding to when he said, have some faith in the system. Well, after a while, you don't need faith. You just believe, you just know that is the truth. Mm. So once you know it's the truth, it's no longer just your belief system. I would say Santa Claus, now that's a belief system. But, FDN is not. It is a factual way of doing things and of allowing health to express or be expressed. So it's just something that was discovered over a long period of time, working on thousands of people. It wasn't invented in the basement or in a laboratory or in some supplement factory or any of these things. It was ground out after years and years of dealing with people and making observations and recognizing patterns. The pattern I recognize most is that if you identify hormone immune digestion detoxification problems, then you have a basis for individualizing a DRESS program. So you know what the problems are. The only way that a health coach can have an effect is to get the person to change their behavior and live right. Diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation. And then that's going to outperform the specific treatment angle. So Chris or anybody else, if someone comes to you and says, I have thyroiditis, the first thing I say is, I don't care. That's not my problem. But if you hire me, my problem, if you want, my goal is to get your hormone immune digestion detoxification systems firing on all cylinders and equaled out and balanced out and working the way they should. And that will include the E and the N on HIDDEN. So HIDDEN, hormone immune digestion detoxification. We can test those things. We can support those things. We can eliminate the interferences in the proper functioning of those things. And really critical is the energy production and balancing out the nervous system. And so the best way I know is the metabolic typing diet, because it will balance out or improve energy production on a cellular level, because it's going to tell you the right macronutrient ratios, the protein, fats, and carbs. You get that just right. Your cells will produce a higher quality of energy, a better rate of energy, and the proper amount of energy so that they can do their job. And eating according to your metabolic type also balances out your nervous system. It keeps you from being too sympathetic or too parasympathetic. And you don't want to be either one of those. So you want to be, hovering at the right balance. And so if you do that, that will outperform specific treatment, which you're not licensed to do. You have no business with even talking about a diagnosis, and if they have a diagnosis and they're under medical care, so be it. One day maybe they won't be. One day maybe that's going to magically improve, and gee, your antibodies are down to normal. Gee, your TSH is normal. Wow, look at that, your thyroid production is normal. I guess I fixed you. We don't care who takes the credit for it. If a physician wants to believe that, let them, and just really get that that non-specific, healing everything works better than taking a shot at thyroiditis or any other thing you want to label. Now, just having said that, that's when doctors are good. If they have thyroiditis, you want to make sure it's not going to turn into something worse, right? Because when cells start to really break down and mutate, and you get these things, it can go off in a bad way in certain genetic types. Okay, some people who are weak constitutionally, genetically, they're just not as viable as someone like me. It's like more robust, healthy. Some people just get everything because, their whole life, their genetics and epigenetics both have equaled. They're not in a very good or happy place. And you don't have to take those clients on too, by the way. You find the ones who don't have every kind of god-awful complex condition in the world. And there's millions of them. I'll just add that to what you're saying there, Brendan.
Well put, better than I have. But that's the basic idea there. So that's the guiding principles, guys. What we just laid out there, you hear it straight from the man himself. So that's the guiding principles. That's the way we work, and then you can just know it, that it is the case, and that is the truth. So, Chris, hopefully that's helpful. I don't have another hand raised at the moment, so I'll bring you back on just for a quick follow-up if you had one to that, and hopefully that was a helpful answer for you.
No, it was great, yeah. And on the thyroid panel, it was just based upon my own personal curiosity. I wasn't trying to look at anything specifically, and I fully clarified with the client my philosophy, and he agreed about the approach. And his own personal understanding was he couldn't believe the fact that all of his issues could be resulting of his gut. And I said, I don't know. I can just tell you from the labs that we've looked at together that I've ordered for you, we've discovered a lot of underlying stressors and revealed a lot of healing opportunities. And so I teach you how to heal yourself, and then you do so, you remain compliant, and then we reevaluate in another 90 days. And I'm awaiting his organic acids test results. And then today, I just ordered him through the medical director program a Cyrex Ra10 to see if there's any food sensitivities at all. So, it's a full workup on this gentleman, and he's been compliant thus far. I think his diet has really exacerbated a lot of issues because he's been very strict ketogenic for 2 years. And that's a really long time to be in a ketogenic diet, very low carb. And that may have exacerbated a lot of his metabolic function. But I really appreciate y'all's answers, and I fully agree 100% with both of you gentlemen. So thank you so much for taking this time.
You're welcome, Chris. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah. Awesome, man. Keep up the great work. Stay in touch. Run the basic labs. You don't have to get fancy. You're doing that because you hear things and people are saying things, and you actually want to keep it simple. as soon as we start running blood work, like the Cyrex, we offer it through the MDP because we also have doctors using it. Doctors use the MDP so that they can see clients in other states where they don't have a license. So we've physicians using that who, they're not allowed to run lab work on a patient who's in another state unless that person comes in, drives 8 states over and sees them in their office. And so they're using it for that. But it's not my preferred go-to food sensitivity test to run on everyone, even the cross-reactivities. Most of the time, running an MRT, which is checks for 170 different foods, it looks at the possible immune reactions 8 different ways. There's all kinds of mediators that would be released from blood based on things. So the Cyrex Array 10 looks cool, but it's actually only checking 2 immunoglobulins. And what if those aren't reactive? They could still be reacting to that food. So it's not a foolproof test. It's a cool, really it's reached much acclaim in the academic circles with medical doctors. They like, running these kinds of things, that there's all these white papers and JAMA articles and things written about. But it's just another test that, has great value, but it isn't a better general screening than the MRT. I guarantee you that. Okay.
Yep.
What's the next question?
I would agree. Keep it simple, guys. At least start there, right? Maybe if you don't see results after 6 months of doing the simple stuff, maybe you do have the option of going deeper if you need to. But I agree. Most of the time, it kind of clutters and just confuses things a little bit. So I agree. All right. Well, Reed, I don't know if did you want to just keep going with questions? Did you have something you wanted to talk about specifically on the call before we keep going onward?
I just really love the group, and I'm a busy guy, but I just can't. Sometimes you just want to have fun with your folks, and see if you could be helpful, and maybe learn something too, because I know people are calling in with great questions, and it makes me go look for things. It keeps me on my toes and makes me better. And I have to also say that Friday mornings, for the last 12 years, I was doing the BioHealth clinical advisor calls for them, talking to their customers, all the doctors and different people that were getting appointments to go over lab tests. And so when the BioHealth thing happened, and I have to dedicate the next year to redoing the course, I'm doing that, but I'm also going to take the chance opportunity, since again I don't have those BioHealth calls on Friday mornings anymore. I really enjoyed that 2 hours. I mean, you've heard me talk about it. I'll call Brandon and go, you wouldn't believe this one I had today, this doctor, and their lack of understanding of basic rules of, just people and how the body really works. I mean, they wanted to know always, like, what's the diagnosis, what's the product, and what's the dosage, and what's the frequency. They spend 5 minutes, like, that's it. They get a half an hour. I mean, shoot, I'll take the other 25 minutes of that call and answer emails and do things. But anyway, I'm just kind of missing those calls, and I'm going to be spending a lot more time on the Friday calls with you guys instead.
Sounds
just
cool.
Hanging out.
I
mean, I got that. Yeah. And the new lessons are going very well. I'm actually having to review a lot, and me, one of those people who can't cook if the kitchen isn't clean. And so if there's, I have to, like, literally every pot, pan, knife, fork, spoon, dish, whatever has to be, like, settled, like way off with my cooking. And then I can bring out my new stuff and set it up, and it's kind of like that with the course. There's just so much that, it was reiterated 2 years ago, and there's just a lot of things that I want to do with it, to expand it, to improve it, to elevate it, to, just redo it because of the BioHealth thing, obviously. But it's so much more than that. I just feel like I have all this so I'm getting at those new lessons that you guys are aching for, but I'm also doing other cleanup first. It's going to take a while, but I'm excited. Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. Well, here's a good question. I'll jump onto this one here that somebody wrote in that I always like to talk about, and then definitely read, see what you have to say here too. So, question is, how do you implement the metabolic typing diet report for every client? As every client so far that has done this feels a little bit overwhelmed when they open up that report. I almost don't want them to get the email with the results before me so I can simplify the recommendations and phases. And follow up here, then what type of format do you present to your client's ideal diet to them once you have their food sensitivities and metabolic typing results collected? So, Reed, how do you recommend maybe meshing those two things together, metabolic type and then MRT?
It's really a good question, and I totally understand that report, especially the new format, could be a bit overwhelming. It was meant to be simplified, but I'm not sure that we accomplished that. It's a lot of information. It certainly is more neat and tidy and categorizing. There's all the links and modern technology, but it's a ton of stuff. And so, your client's going to get it, but you need to send out the email that I wrote for you that says, MT looks difficult, but it's actually easy to do. And that's what you have to, you need to develop that kind of relationship with your client that, look, you're going to get this report and it's got a lot of stuff in it. It's very, very thorough. It's a whole lifestyle if you really want to think about it. But I'm going to help you with it. And that's what you're paying me for. I'm your health coach. So let me coach you through it. It's no different than if, let's say you got a rookie football player and you give them the whole playbook, offense, defense, the whole thing, and say, read that over the weekend and come back Monday ready to play. Well, it's not going to happen. And so, you can't give them, they're going to get the playbook, maybe the whole playbook in terms of metabolic typing, but your job is to help break it down. And there's the first thing that you want to establish when it comes to the diet. Yeah, here's all the foods. And there's a list. And that's the one page that you want to have them print out and put up on their refrigerator. I did this with my mom. She lost weight. She started pooping regular. She started getting better sleep, and her doctor took her off some of her medication just from putting that diet up on her fridge and said, Mom, just eat like this. These are your foods. So there's the food selection. Now you can go in there and cross off the ones that are sensitive on the MRT. That's how you do it. There's actually a piece of software that did it for you where you would upload that diet and then go in and check off the foods are sensitive to it, and it would reprint it without those foods on it. Well, we don't have that software. The guy went out of business, whatever. And so you're going to have to just take a pen and scratch those ones off, or tell the person to do it, however that works for you. And eat those foods. So number one is, here's your foods. Number two, the ratios of protein, fat, and carbs. Try to make each meal look like this. If it's and then you show them like on a plate, or you tell them, look, if you're a mixed oxidizer, or balanced type, and basically you're going to eat about 50% protein and fat, 50% complex carbohydrates. And again, you've got to eliminate the foods you're sensitive to first. So if that's dairy and grains, then you won't have any of that on the plate. You won't be washing this down with a glass of milk, right? You drink your herbal teas or water. And couple shots of whiskey and you're all set. So no, you're gonna just, here's your list of foods. Now, isn't there wonderful foods there? Look at all those wonderful foods. Okay, there's all the vegetables, there's the fruits, there's the meats, these got it separated into seeds and nuts and oils and fats and the good fats and the different things. So there's a lot to choose from. And oh, by the way, every MT diet comes with a meal planner. Like it's already there. It gives you examples of how to put a meal together for your type. So there's even cookbooks available somewhere, and I have the one for parasympathetics, which I am, and it's delicious. Nancy Dale, who's a longtime MT advisor, put that together under Bill Wolcott's supervision, and it's pretty amazing. So now you keep it really simple. Forget the big, yes, there's the whole playbook, but I'm going to show you the plays that matter where you're going to be playing, the ones you need to worry about or be concerned with and to do. Put this on your fridge. Only eat what's on the good list, and put together your meals in a way that you have the macronutrient ratios right. So eat enough protein and fat along with those carbohydrates. And for some people, they're going to eat a lot more protein and fat than they're used to. Okay, because they are, let's say, a fast oxidizer. That means they need to eat slow burning fuel, which is what? Fats and meat, like protein. That burns slow. So you give a fast oxidizer, slow burning fuel. If you have a fire going and you want to keep it going, you put a big log on it, right? Something's going to burn slow. You don't throw paper on it. Paper is fast burning fuel, like carbohydrates. They burn very quickly. So you don't put fast burning fuel on a fast oxidizer. And the same thing if you're a slow oxidizer. You find a sympathetic type, or a slow oxidizer, you don't give them a lot of fat because they're so slow oxidizing, in other words, burning fuel for energy, that they don't burn the slow burning fuel very well. You're trying to burn a big log with a match. And so it's that simple. Does that sound simple?
It does. That's precisely how I do it. Metabolic typing totally changed my health. Like 180, I was eating as a vegan for probably a year, a little bit more than that, and lost all sorts of weight that I didn't need to. I felt terrible. My mind felt terrible. My brain didn't work well. Immune system was shot. It was just the wrong, even though I was eating super good quality food, local, organic, sprouted, I was like, okay, why isn't all this healthy vegan food making me feel better? I found metabolic typing about the same time I found FDN and took the test, and what do I show up as? Parasympathetic. Like, oh, okay. So it sounds like I'm eating the total wrong way, right? This is early 2000s. So remember the first time I had red meat again for the first time in probably a year, and I thought, wow, this tastes good. I feel strong. I feel good. I knew I was on the right track. And so that made a total 180 as far as my health went. And so I've stayed that way too. I'm on the fast para protein type side of things. I think I've retested 5 or 6 times just for fun to see, and I'm always staying on the protein side, and thank goodness my whole family is on the protein side. So we eat more or less the same way. We don't skip any meals at our house. We have meat pretty much every meal, and everybody gets along pretty well if we eat according to our metabolic type.
Yeah,
but yeah,
not eating right is stressful. It's just another form of stress. Skipping meals is stressful. Like people with real sort of advanced or prolonged HPA axis dysfunction probably shouldn't do the intermittent fasting just yet. That might be a great way to lose weight, intermittent fasting. But if you're all stressed out and your adrenals are acting badly, we don't want to starve the body. It just makes things worse. What the adrenals will do is try to crank out even more cortisol to stabilize your blood sugar. So you're just stressing them out by not eating right, and so you're giving them nurturing when you are eating right and eating the right amount of protein, fat, and carbs for you. That's why everyone who hasn't done it should go to mtdiet.com, and you can send your customers there. And they'll pay, but that's the deal. They're going to pay. They're going to watch the same videos as you. So you should. And Brandon, we can answer for anyone who wants. If you have questions about MT, let's answer them. We'll probably get Bill back.
Yeah,
on
good.
The show. We'll probably get Bill back on here.
That'd be awesome. So I love hearing from him. If you go back in the Friday Call archives, I'm doing this call for about 10 years now, right? So Bill was a regular guest, and so those are good to listen to. Also go back and hit some of those fundamentals because it's there. The three components we teach in the course of diet is, number one, you got to have quality food, right? Can't be junk food. It's got to be organic, as best that you can find. Local quality of food has to be there. You have to know about macronutrient ratios and fine-tune that diet, and then pull out those inflammatory foods. Three steps of the process there. And that's the way I always teach the diet side of things, and it makes sense. And you're right, Reed. It's not always going to be an overnight thing. I tell my people initially, when I start going over that, I say, I don't expect you to be eating perfect by 5 o'clock tomorrow. It can take some time. Some people do want to pull out everything and be 100% there immediately. And some people can do that. Other people, it takes a little bit of time. I have sometimes just too overwhelming for people is I will say, okay, let's pick either, we'll go over both metabolic type and MRT. And let's prioritize maybe one over the other to start with. For right now, I want you to just focus on your metabolic type right now. Spend a few days getting that fine-tuned. Or maybe I think, okay, can't do that. Maybe the MRT, pull out these foods for right now. Ideally, we want both. That's going to be the ideal thing, but that would be one possible stair step that you could do if they had to. But most of the time, those mesh together pretty well, and they'll figure it out. And I think Sarah Ballantyne says this is, it's only effort until it becomes routine. Of course, it's going to require some more thinking. Of course, that first couple grocery store trips are going to take you 3 hours instead of 1 hour. There's going to be some thought involved, but eventually, it's just going to be the way that you do things. I've had several people that ran the MRT that once I say, okay, hey, it's been about 3 or 4 months here, we can start to work some foods back in. They're like, nah, I'm good. I didn't really miss those foods that much to begin with. I've gotten used to life that way. So eventually, it becomes just a way of life, and you do your thing, which is, that's the goal, right? Is that we've changed these habits permanently, and we're compounding daily, doing these small little things that seemingly insignificant that build up and lead to some pretty awesome results. So we've succeeded in the habit-changing, behavioral-changing process, which is what Reed was referring to with the original question there from Chris. So behavioral change. But it's powerful. I think people get it. I think MRT is, I agree, it's always my frontline test when I use. Works excellently. A lot of times there'll be some clinical correlation even within that, which is pretty cool. Some people are already guessing what foods are going to be issues for them. They feel like already when they eat them, they can tell something's not right. And then metabolic typing almost always clinically correlates. So they can say, oh, wow, yeah, I do feel better eating this way, or I've always craved these foods, or, oh, I thought I was supposed to eat this way because I read an article. Everybody says to eat this way. No, everybody's different. That's the cool thing. I had an onboarding call yesterday talking to a gentleman. He said, you know what? I always thought that there wasn't just like one diet for everybody and like just one, supplement line everybody should take. It's got to be individual. I said, well, your hunch is right. And that's what we're going to be able to figure out by running these labs, is find out exactly your biochemistry and what you need for yourself to be healthy. Good stuff. All right, so we got about 11 minutes in the call left here. So you guys, if you want to jump in with the question, now is definitely the time. So hit 1 on the keypad, or 347-637-1378 is that number, and we're happy to chat with you here. I think I've got another diet question.
Okay, I was going to say, raise your hand if you have done an MT test on yourself and you have any questions about it. Don't be shy, because we're here to help, and it helps everyone when you do it. So there might be 5 people with the same question. They're all kind of scared to raise their hand. So be the one that helps everyone. The other people would be glad you asked, and just don't be shy.
A lot of you guys out there, so you guys, wow, a good group today. I love it. You guys have been really good past several months here. We've been just so many callers and people chiming in and saying hi and saying some nice things about the call, that you guys appreciate what we do, and I look forward to it. This is, I don't know if I took away one of my the Friday call here, I don't know. I might feel a little weird like you do, Reed, without having the BioHealth calls on Friday. It's just part of it. Must be getting to the weekend feeling really good.
A lot of people are running the Dutch test now, right? And I I like the Dutch test just fine. I think sometimes you get into these metabolites and you start getting into the weeds that you really don't need to get into, not as an FDN. And it's kind of funny how the CA team over at Precision Analytical has been saying, I don't know that they're exactly complaining, but it's kind of like, boy, those FDNs ask a lot of questions, don't they? And the reason is we look at things differently. So, I think you and I might have talked about this a little bit on one of our Facebook Lives that we did, but it's worth repeating. When a lot of physicians call up a lab to their CA team, their clinical advisory team, and say, and they're looking at Mrs. Smith's test results here, and she's, 42-year-old female. Look at her hormones, and look at her this, and look at her that. Well, what's your diagnosis? Oh, I would call that adrenal dysfunction, adrenal insufficiency. Okay, should I give her some licorice root? Yeah, give her some licorice root. How much? Okay, yeah. What about hormones? Should I give her some hormones? Yeah, give her, 6 drops of this and 4 drops of that. Okay, thanks. Whereas an FDN calls in and they say, yeah, I've got Mrs. Smith's test results here. She's a 42-year-old female. She's got blah, blah, blah going on. Okay. Well, she's got, here's her results. We recommend DHEA, recommend you do a little licorice root, and so and so and so. Okay. And if then goes, well, wait, what could be causing this? Could this be toxicity? Could this be their environment? What should I be looking for? Should I, do you think it's just because she works 3 jobs and is divorced, or do you think that they're just not used to it, man? But you guys are doing the best work. And so even though that was brought to me in a different light, I'm telling you what shines and stands up for me is that we're asking the right questions. We're really doing our homework. We're really trying to be, the man on the street, the one that really gets the detective work done. And so I'm proud of you.
I second that. I think we're doing something right there. If that's what the reputation that we're getting, the ones that ask lots of questions, that ask those deeper questions, that's some of the most powerful tools that you have as an FDN practitioner. Not only the questions you ask yourself as you're analyzing results in the case and looking through it, but also the questions you ask your client. Right? Half those answers are there. Talking to them with that results session or the conversations that you have, it's a partnership. It's not just you looking at it and say, well, this is how it's going to be and dictating all these things. This is a partnership. There's feedback. There's the diet check record sheets, hormone check record sheets, all those things right there. That's it. So if we are known for asking questions, boy, that's a good reputation to have. So yeah, I love hearing that. That's why we have this Friday call, right? You guys ask a lot of questions, and we'd love to answer those. There's no silly questions or odd questions. We'll always give you an answer. So very good. All right. Let's see. So 5 minutes in the call, guys. So if you guys want to jump in there and just say hello, maybe just call in and tell us your metabolic type. It's kind of like maybe that's kind of like your astrological sign. So if you're 2 different metabolic types, it may be challenging for your relationship if one likes to skip meals and the other one doesn't. Or I always joke about that because it always makes us feel pretty good to eat on a regular basis. And if we're traveling, going someplace as a family, it's always, okay, where are we going to eat next? And where's a good place to eat that's always on the docket? Heather does a great job of researching and finding places to make sure we are well fueled, because we need that fuel on a really regular basis. We have that hot burning fire. Big log is what we need. Those, carbs just are like putting those leaves on the fire. You get this big release of heat, and then there's nothing. And that's what we need. So, and it's very intuitive once you start to do that. And I'll say one thing when I do teach metabolic type to my clients, I like to just use a simple pie chart. So, percentage of proteins and carbohydrates, like Bill has in his book. And I've got a couple different ones there, sort of based on some general places to start, based on what's in the metabolic typing book. So sort of start here, and don't weigh your food. Don't really think about calories. Just think about, okay, when I sit down to eat a snack or a meal, is it broken up percentage-wise as my type. I even put some pictures of example meals. Say, okay, this is a really high carb meal. This is a very, high fat meal, a very high protein meal. Actually show them the food and say, hey, this is what it's supposed to look like. So if you can get a person to just naturally, when they look, anything they put in their mouth, they're looking to say, okay, is this all carb? Is this all protein? Do I have a nice balance here? Is this for my metabolic type? That alone is life-changing. I've seen it happen so many different times, especially somebody that's like me that was eating totally wrong spectrum, realized that they're a protein type, started eating that way, and all of a sudden, I'm not hungry between meals. My mood is more stable. I'm sleeping better. All sorts of these cool things just by supporting the system the right way and not being afraid. It gives people some freedom, too. I've found people that, I'm not supposed to eat red meat, right? That's bad for you. Well, according to metabolic type, this may be a really good fuel source for you. Let's try it and see what happens. So I think that reduces the stress on a person. Because, okay, if you eat something and makes you feel really good, not like hyped up with caffeine or alcohol or something like that, but a true whole food that makes you feel good, that starts to shift all your biochemistry in a good direction, that's probably a good thing for you. That just is logical. So we don't have to adhere to some kind of dogma or just what's out there at the time, whatever gets the loudest, whatever gets the most press. It's for you on a biochemical individual level because we are all unique. Yes, we run the same labs on every single person, but from there, it's all customized, which is hopefully refreshing. And that's what you can say to your clients. Okay, well, 3 minutes left in the call, so not a lot of time. I don't know if we have time for another question here on the list there. We usually have some decent answers here, so I don't think I'll bring up another one because I don't want to cut it off, so we'll save some for next week. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, well, excellent. Awesome. Well, Reed, always good to be on with you. And Chris, thanks for the question there. And our 4 graduates, Matt, Dustin, Tiffany, and Brenda. Awesome job, guys. We got more out there building up that awesome army to change the world. All right. You guys have a great weekend.
Good, man. You guys have a great weekend. Nice talking to you. Bye-bye.